Hello everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of September the 19th till 25th, 2022. We have a really active and changing, shifting sky ahead of us, but the shift is kind of for the longer term because we are talking about the upcoming Libra equinox, so the autumn equinox, at least on my part of the world. In other parts it's the opposite, of course, but regardless of this marks a really important period when a lot of things are going to be unfolding in our personal lives and also on the world stage based on choices, decisions, preferences, options, and basically the symbolism of Libra, of how it is that we weigh things. This period is also in the midst of the Mercury retrograde season, where Mercury also makes an important move, exiting the sign of Libra and entering in the sign of Virgo, a part of the sky where it is very powerful. And Mercury retrograde will also make key connections with other planets, especially Pluto, a connection that Mercury started its retrograde with. So it is also very important because it's not just Mercury who makes this conversation a trine, a blessing, an empowerment, perhaps a truth, because after all, we're speaking about Mercury, but since Venus joins in a conjunction with Mercury, and so the trine with Pluto, the truth, the clarity, the revelation, the decision, the choice is also on a heart level. Or let's put this in the context of the Mercury retrograde theme. If we solve an issue, especially an issue that has been long bugging us, let's say, regardless if it's paperwork, if it's something to do with authorities, if something to do with even finances, bigger financial decisions in our lives, Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. Okay, it passed the anaretic position, it retrograded back onto 26 degrees of Capricorn, but it's still the structures of our lives one way or another. So something that holds us together energetically, psychologically, materially, principle-wise, worldview-wise, faith-wise, etc., etc. But it's a partnership, a power game, a power configuration, let's say, in our lives, in business, etc. It still holds us together, so the decisions that we're making will affect this. So it's a longer term and quite a profound transformation that really is in our hands right now. And why am I saying this? Outer planets retrograde, Mercury retrograde, so the mind, and Mars in shadow, so also Mars in its retrograde theme at least. So Mars is will, and Mars is also going to be very relevant this week for a number of different reasons, so it's quite an important week. And also, at the end of the week, after the Libra equinox that is going to be taking place on the 23rd of September, on the 25th/26th, depending on where you are on the planet, we have a new moon in the sign of Libra. So straight after the equinox, straight after the sun touching 0 degrees of Libra, which is also relevant externally and on the world stage, so to speak, because that 0 degree of Libra activates the world diplomacy, the negotiations between nations, alliances, trade, international justice, courts of justice, collectively in a country, within a community, so, and within our own lives. If we have legal issues, chances are we need to consider them at this moment. Contracts, new moon partnerships. But Mercury is in retrograde in the sign of, actually at the new moon, Mercury is going to be in the sign of Virgo, but still relatively close to this new moon to influence it quite a lot. So the mind figuring stuff out in Virgo, what's available, what's not, resources, problem solving, service, so also our jobs and our daily routines, our health. So a lot of themes raised here, and the partnerships and contracts and agreements that we might be guided to or needed to, execute around this period, or think about them, prepare for them, brainstorm around them, are going to be relevant and quite life-changing. So this is an important period. Also, the equinox itself marks the period of the karmic period of the next 3 months. Equinoxes were always very important for ancient civilizations, ancient people, even those who were not very connected to astrology. Everyone sensed that this is a very strong karmic and spiritual period when the veil between the worlds is that much thinner and the spirit is very deeply close to us. And especially, again, in my part of the world, in my hemisphere, it's autumn. So it's a period of deep transformation, maturization, maturity, fruits being prepared, but also a consequence of our actions. Needless to say that in many parts of the world, there was either a strong drought or a strong flooding, so crops were destroyed. This has spiritual connotations as well. So consequences for our actions. Karma is not very mild with us collectively and individually alike right now. Saturn speaks about this in a way, but let's not forget that karmically, Saturn entering Pisces in 2023, the sign of finalities, that will be very, very important karmically. So that will be a period of spiritual, psychological, moral toughness, let's say. But toughness in a positive sense, integrity is going to be demanded. And not from necessarily from the human level. And that level which is under our strict control. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm sorry. So this week is going to be starting with a number of very important conversations. One of these is the Sun in Virgo still holding a trine with Pluto. So this is where the light of our consciousness in Virgo, where we kind of tend to see even the nitty-gritty, even the smaller details, but also the big picture alike. Pluto represents a strong empowerment to keep on going, a psychological empowerment. But for some people, that psychological empowerment will show up materially speaking, health, or their mood, their mindset, their approach, Virgo approach to things, a strong determination. They know what they need to do. Their inner intelligence helps them a lot. They figure stuff out. And this opposition between the Sun and another celestial conversation, the opposition between Sun and Neptune, some of us are figuring things out which evaded us tens of years. And this energy can be very, very, very deep. It can have a very deep layer to it where the truth is so much alive, but also the illusion. And for a lot of people who have problems in their marriage, this is a very tough period when the lovers, the third party situation is very intense, but also the truth of why they should stay in their marriage is also very intense. What did they choose, the self or the right thing? This will, for those people who are going through difficulties in their marriages, are not, this period is not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie to you, but either the illusion will drown everything, and the illusion is the toxicity within a marriage, within a partnership. Even if that partnership is not necessarily a classical understanding of partnership, it's a friendship or a contract, work, project, anything, if that is deeply rooted in some kind of illusion, even if that illusion was a moral, socially accepted moral something 10 years ago, well, times changed deeply. So, what relationships, for example, started in 2018 or 20, I don't know, when Venus and Mars, under Venus Mars, not so favorable Venus Mars conjunctions, because usually Venus Mars conjunctions mark the period of partnerships. Those relationships which had a strong interest, any kind of interest attached to them, are gonna be suffer now because times changed. Anyway, in a different side, the truth will set everyone free. Because Mars is preparing to square Neptune, and Mars retrograde will square Neptune. So that will be a moment when we truly need to get ourselves out of the murk, and the murk is the illusion of our own lethargy, our own excuses that we make for ourselves, of our own evasion from certain kind of truth that we don't want to face, or certain patterns where the ego or the so-called shadow or the unconscious, the fearful unconscious tricks us, and we don't necessarily live in truth, but we live in our own escapism, which is extraordinarily real to us because our power to create it, to keep it alive, is very, very strong as well. And on one hand, there is nothing wrong with that because all of us are, let's say, divinely entitled to create our own world and live in it. Because if our own little bubble is full of balance and beauty and the things, all those things that the universe cannot contest, that the universe is likely to tolerate infinitely if needed. Yet, if we drown in that, the universe cannot help us because it's our own creation. We are the gods of our own escapist tendencies and also our own bubbles. Yet, if we are responsible and we provide integrity, beauty, balance, learning for the self and others within that, as I said, the universe is tolerating without any problem. It is the kind of illusion that is creative and ultimately is no longer the darker side of the Maya, but rather the evolutionary side of the Maya. Yet, if someone is drowning in illusion, especially an illusion which is not necessarily even theirs, deception, lies, falseness, then it's bad. Then it's really, but the truth is also available and it will set us free. So where I wanted to go with this, being honest with yourself, knowing that you're a creator of your own world and you're keeping it alive, that gives you power. But you need to admit this to yourself. You need to necessarily know what you're doing at this period, and a lot of self-knowledge is needed. And this is one of those beginning of the autumn, at least in my hemisphere, where it's like the sun entering Libra is like a person entering the Oracle of Delphi, or Delphos, or I don't know how to pronounce it, where know thyself is written on it, on the gate. Entering self-knowledge. We're in Libra. The symbolism of Libra, even the ancient Egyptian symbol, the mat, the scales of justice, the heart, usually the sacred heart, the passionate, pure heart on one scale, a feather on the other, and very many times they were very, very tightly equal, as in very okay. Would the heart be even lighter than a feather? Would the feather weigh more? Well, then that person did something so wonderful in their incarnation that the afterlife would be definitely a form of heaven, or some kind of where the soul would be definitely in reverberation, or how you call that. would it weigh a lot, more than the feather? That's where the problems began. Because if the weight, the I don't know how, the calculation of the weight was unacceptable morally according to the divine laws, then unfortunately that person had to face demons which would definitely devour them. Only a person which was much more evil, selfish, wicked, ugly on the inside than a demon could survive that, but they had then a very special place reserved in hell for them. Anyway, where I'm going with this is a period when we have to weigh our lives, judge the self. When I say judge, not necessarily the bad kind of expression of judgment, but rather a clear view of what we're doing. Who are our partners and our friends? If we have a lot of Facebook friends, then chances are this Neptune is going to come at us as a huge tide, or it will the drought in the soul will be like the Sahara, because Facebook isn't real. So this is where the universe is asking us, North Node in Taurus, what is real? Certain things are not real, and people who had a lot of comfort in their lives because they have Facebook friends might really, really undergo a strong withdrawal of Facebook, social media, and what Mercurial is under this Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini. And please excuse me that I don't have a Mars retrograde video out yet, but I'm working on that hopefully very soon. So, yes, and a lot of Martian activity is actually beneficial because we have a trine between Mars and Saturn. So that usually means that we figured stuff out. We are also in the right place with a lot of stuff that we have in our minds, in our future plans, hopes, and dreams right now. We are kind of fighting for them our own ways. We are dreaming big. We are using our intelligence, our communication, our relationships, our diplomacy, everything that we can learn from others, Mars and Gemini, to get things done in our lives. And that is a really positive energy. That is a really good addition to the problem solving energy of the Sun in Virgo. Yes, that is really, really empowering. And yes, of course, Mars does square Venus at the same time. But this is the kind of square where even Venus has to kind of, the heart is rebellious. Feelings have no logic to them, the ones we can understand. The heart and feelings go where they want to. But there are periods when even the heart has to respect common sense for the greater good of all. If that may, and this is such a period. So that is how we have to take this Mars square Venus. If something is a disappointment in our lives or someone, it's okay. It's absolutely okay because we look at the truth of that and we use it constructively. At the very beginning of the week, we also have a conjunction between Black Moon Lilith and the Moon, and all of this in the sign of Cancer. So yes, there is going to be a lot of unrest and disruption within families. So this is how the Sun opposing Neptune is starting to brew. But as I said, with this energy, you need to do something with it. You need to alchemize it. You need to look at what the universe is actually helping you to face. Because it's showing you the truth. It's helping you face the not truth. It's helping you create your truth. And if it's hard, it's absolutely fine. But you cannot run away from what it's showing you. If there are a lot of fake people in your life, if you've been approaching things, a big goal, which you have, and it's total benevolent, but you've been approaching it in a really unfavorable way for a lot of years, don't be disappointed now, as in, don't take it personally, because even within your bad approaches, the amount of experience and wisdom that you have gained, you learned everything about others, the way of others. It was not good for you, but you learned so much. So that strengthened you in ways unimaginable to you. But now you're learning your own way. So it's okay. There's disappointment right now is really your choice, so to speak. Because we are almost, we don't have a choice but to look at the bright side, because that's how strongly our collective futures hang in the balance right now. So we need to look at everything that is available, that is possible, that can do, and all the power that you have, because Pluto is one of the most important, stronger energies here, and it does empower that sun. So there is a lot of good in the sky as well. So then let's move on to the 23rd, where let's move on a couple of hours, where we have this Libra equinox. So the sun entered into the sign of Libra, and immediately it met Mercury in the sky. But this is where the sun is going forward, Mercury is going backwards, so they're just meeting at their path. And this to me is a very, very powerful and relevant energy, the Apollo aspect, so that's how I like to call it. Because Mercury, even in astronomy, is very close to the sun. It's always together with the sun. It never ever leaves the sun's embrace, so to speak. So they meet quite a lot. But of course, a lot of times we have moments of clarity. Even in deeply confusing times, we still have moments of great clarity and a lot of memories of when Jupiter squared Neptune, 2020, 2018, 2019, 2020, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, when confusion was the air that we breathe. Now, it's different. There is a fusion and confusing side, but there is a lot of inner truth and things we know within, and that helps us ultimately. And this Mercury meeting the Sun briefly, well, when both of these planets are following their opposite courses to each other, to me it is like a reality check, like an encouragement moment, where Mercury and the Sun say to each other, "You can do it, bro." As in, this is a moment of empowerment, a moment of clarity, a moment of truth, a moment when you remind yourself of who you are, what your goals are, and what's important to you, why you're hanging in there right now. And then, of course, Mercury will move into Virgo. So that will be a moment when everything that we kind of try to figure out under the Mercury retrograde and Libra period, now when it's in Virgo, we have to execute, put it in practice, do it, go, be there, do it, go to the appointment, fix it, or at least have a very crystal clear date and appointment when it's going to be done, certainly in the close future, even if that moment is after the Mercury retrograde season, because you can imagine Mercury still has to go back to that 8 degree of Libra, so that is also a period Mercury still going forward in shadow, when a lot of things are going to be done, of course. So if it's not immediately the date and time when things are going to be, the equipment or the car or this appointment, that appointment being done in your life, it's not a problem because it's supposed to be like that. And I think we have to look at other energies that are playing out right now, because as I said, How the sky is at the moment of the equinox kind of tells us how the period is going to be. We have the Saturn and Uranus square, and this is going to be turn exact after the Mercury retrograde season. So that stuff collectively, because a lot of legal cases will shock the world, investigations, medical stuff, changing economy to prevent something that already happened and is unpreventable. And then the unpreventable happens, an economic change, an unexpected trend, but also a collapse somewhere, or an imminent collapse. So this is where a lot, like an earthquake really, to be totally honest with you, but an economic and political and social one. And this marks the period of social unrest, because there are going to be eclipses soon, and one eclipse is going to conjunct Uranus, the moon conjunct Uranus. So a lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse in Taurus. Well, okay, that's going to be absolutely wonderful artistically, holistically, spiritually, anything to do with nature. Yeah, there might be earth changes, earthquake, a lot of stuff like that, but it's like an earth upgrade. But there is also a side where rebellion within the feelings, emotion, value, money, repartition of values, economy, and a rebellion of people. But the rebellion doesn't need to be like violent or something like that, although in some parts of the world maybe that is not excluded. It's just like a value rebellion, because people know what they want and they demand it, and everything is going to be figured out. That is how an upgrade starts. But like every eclipse, it's like, a reset moment, reset of the economy, because it's a total lunar eclipse. The moon is there. The moon in the sign of Taurus is definitely speaking of how we feel strongly about values, the five senses, liberty, freedom, creativity. So it's a very interesting period that it's upcoming. And as I say, this Uranus at 80 degrees of the sign of Taurus is very, very relevant of this, because the Sabian symbol of this, a new continent emerging from the depths, that's almost self-explanatory. So of course there is going to be shocks and changes and unexpected, but the birth of the new cannot be stopped. And this is going to be like that. The birth of the new is coming, ready or not. And that will have many repercussions. And another aspect that I would like to speak about, Venus trine Pluto, and also still trine Uranus. In the middle of perfecting these two aspects, a value upgrade, a value transformation, the upgrade is finally executed. This is when, like a software has this new patch already online. This is the moment when something economic, something problem solving, something that has to provide like stitches, Venus in the sign of Virgo, and also something that might have to do with courts of justice, as I said, because Mercury is at 0 degrees of Libra, not in the sign of Virgo yet. So justice, court of justice, demanding justice. So, a lot of complications are going to arise from this, but they're almost destined to be solved. The North Node in the sign of Taurus, still conjunct Uranus. So solutions, upgrade, as I said, the patch is already installed. Then let's move on to the end of the week. Where we have a new moon in the sign of Libra. Not here, because in my country, Romania, it's on the 26th, so actually on the midnight, straight after midnight. So between 25 and 26, but in most parts of the world is on 25th, if I'm not mistaken. So this full moon, new moon, sorry, new moon in the sign of Libra is very, very important because it is at 2 degrees. 2 degrees and 48 minutes, and the Sabian symbol of that is absolutely beautiful. Let me just look at my notes. The dawn of a new day reveals that everything has changed. How beautiful. The dawn, effectively, the symbol of that. It is so beautiful. Where certain new alliances in our lives appear, but we need to be patient because it's just the dawn until it becomes a warm morning, so to speak. And also, the rays of the sun in Libra are in fall because the sun is not its most fiery self in the sign of Libra. It is not selfish, it is not self-centered. It is more oriented on others. So it also has this compassionate quality to it. And Venus is the ruling planet of the sign of Libra, and so of course compassionate. Because Venus is the lower octave of Neptune, the planet of compassion. So where I want to go with this is really, really beautiful because there is a lot of positive that comes from others, or we represent something very valuable and positive in the lives of others. Because as you can see, Venus and Mercury all are together at this time, and the moon on my soft at this moment. The moon is not yet reached Libra, so it's in one bunch with this Mercury, Venus, and um, the moon. So what a beautiful conjunction. The heart meets the mind. It the clarity starts to form because this is a new moon, so the moon, there's no light, everything is dark. The moon and the sun together, they basically absorb each other, but that's a new beginning, a powerful creational energy. Set a new intent. If you are looking for a new job, new partner, new contract, anything that has to do with Libra, justice in your life perhaps, set a new intention at this time. Set a new intention collectively as well, of course, for peace and everything that harmony, balance, equilibrium, the higher qualities and the love of this Venus in the sign of Libra to show up in the world one way or another. But this can actually be the birth of a wonderful new alliance of some kind. But as I said, the dawn, we need to approach this with patience and with light, truly light. The dawn means that the light is not all that strong yet. There is still some light and shadow there. We must not let that conquer us. So the dawn means looking forward and not looking back to the past, not letting remnants of the past drown us, that Neptune, or codependency, and all the Neptunian kind of expressions that can represent a strong problem. And also, this is where both Mercury and Venus are trying to Pluto. Empowerment. We kind of know what we're fighting for, standing for, doing, why we're enduring. So this is a lot of empowerment. This is one of the greater moments of respite in this period. And I know that the Saturn and Uranus square can cause a lot of stress and anxiety, and give a strong sense of great unrest out there. That out there society, the world is not very stable and safe. But we have this power to choose to not live that right now. That is why I'm saying respite. Because of course, Things are gonna get heated up as we move on into the midst of the autumn and the eclipses and all of that. There is gonna be a lot of intensity upcoming. So exactly, this can give us a lot of respite. For example, put it in context of Mercury retrograde. You solve a lot of past issues, spending issues, debt, finances, contracts, stuff like that. You're free, really. You're free. You have a great freedom, the sense of freedom within you. And they're opposing Neptune, the disillusionment, but the positive kind. You make it your own. Pluto gives you power to make this your own, to alchemize it. The truth sets you free. Even if the truth gets you out of a certain illusion, it breaks your bubble, so to speak. The broken bubble is raw material to invest it into something that you found now. So it's not all bad, really. There is a lot of good in this as well. And and a lot of can do financially. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking for collaboration, if you're looking for work, even this is the period when Uranus shakes things up so much where it's possible even off grid. So if you don't have or you don't like 9 to 5 and the contracts, and this is the period when off grid and alternative is possible and it can support you. So if you're looking for work, it's possible as a freelancer or whatever, just labor, any kind of labor. It is really, really sought after and appreciated right now. On a farm, for example, that could be the biggest bliss in your life. So anyway, thinking outside the box is the biggest saving grace in your life right now, because the Uranus-Saturn square is a blessing in that sense. The biggest blessing. Saturn, the gatekeeper, as in you need a contract, you need skills, you need this, that, or it's not possible, you need to be a member of this. All of that is falling. This is where if there is a genuine need for, you don't need anything. Because where there is a need, there is a way. And if there is your will to do it, courage. I just want to offer a couple of the King of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles reversed. Ace of Coins reversed. Empress reversed. I so regret doing this. 5 of Pentacles. King of Coins. I don't know, this is like jinxed. Because this is all Earth sign, all Taurus, all the astrology. Because as I said, Venus square Mars, so outside the comfort zone. You must do what you have to do. You must endure what you have to endure. You need to get it done. But if some people had a lot of missed opportunities in the past, this is the moment to grab them once more, because they might return. But you know, this is uncertain, so this is not comfort, but it is a new beginning. It is you're getting stuff done, your new beginning, fighting for it. Detox, releasing old patterns, following treatments, cures. Halt with certain big ambitions of the future, because you need to resolve things in the now. Now, this is an uncomfortable energy because this means you fear some things. You fear making a leap of faith, you fear making a big move, you fear the imminent hardship, maybe the winter, fuel costs, collective news, fuel costs that the winter is going to be a cold one for all of us. News about this. But it's okay. We can do it. There is a solution. This is what we're preventing. This is what we're getting done. So it's actually good. So thank you everyone. And I would like to do a separate video after this one about the upcoming new moon that we have in the sign of Libra, not to make this too long. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out the video coming after this. And thank you for all the love, all the beautiful comments, all the appreciation. Thank you for keeping me